can improvement be analyzed? Is there a system to accurately assess the effectiveness of any given business practice? Is there an action that could be considered the core concept behind the world of quality culture? Yes, there is one element that has always been undeniably linked to every aspect of quality: evaluation and planification in order to improve. Under the title Business Intelligence Analyzing Quality, BID hosted an international seminar at its annual conference in Frankfurt to celebrate the accomplishments of business leaders from around the world, gathered there to participate in the BID Quality and Leadership Recognition Program. The participants discussed a wide range of theories and historical cases concerning quality culture and problem-solving methodologies, from Michel Godet's approach to structured analysis to the learning is more than training philosophy. The participants were introduced to pivotal concepts of the Kaizen way, the Taguchi statistical approach to quality, the continuous learning as a philosophy for achieving excellence, and the different theories revolving around the Japanese Kaizen or no waste philosophy.
In addition to the award winners, speakers include Seminar Director and Professor of Applied Mathematics at the Technical University of Madrid, Dr. Alfonso Casal, Quality Expert Dr. Devin Savage from Stuttgart, Neuromarketing Expert Dr. Alla Ignatienkova from the University of Tübingen, and the heart and soul of the Quality Culture Program, José E. Prieto, President and CEO of BID. The seminar in Frankfurt allowed an inspiring exchange of ideas between the panel of experts and the business leaders in attendance, generating new concepts, thoughts, and insights regarding quality culture and how it can be applied in a practical manner. The forum in Frankfurt facilitated an open discussion among people unlikely to have had such an opportunity in a context other than a BID conference.
BID conferences and seminars are unique gatherings and have enjoyed steady growth in the number of participants over the course of the past 30 years, becoming staple events for the international world of quality. In this latest Frankfurt 2017 edition, the valuable contributions of both the business leaders and quality experts made the seminar and conference another success.
The BID Frankfurt Seminar on Quality explored the core of total quality management, providing the attendees with a deep, full inside knowledge of the greatest gurus that build quality culture.
First of all, I would like to describe a bit the process in our company, TC Contact, and then I will connect it with trees. Problem solving. Well, we have assembly of special products, of tools and so on, but still about 50–40% of our production is production of special purpose parts or one part production. And we have about 350 pieces of really different parts per month. We receive drawings from construction from our customers. On the drawing is the material, and there is how the part should look like. And then our technology department should write the steps, and the steps looks like this is like one paper, and there are the steps like cutting, turning machine, milling machine, and so on. And we are solving different technological problems every day. And regarding this machinery industry, it's like exact science. So when, for example, our customers said on the drawing there should be a type of material, but our technological department say no, there should be another material, we can suggest it and we can improve the whole process and the whole tool of assembly. And it can help a lot also the big companies, which are our customers. So it's like good example of trees, because this methodology was already solved, but we use it for our special products.
With only 27 years old, 28 years old, he's been able to
branch out a family company that was originally a material construction company into 6 different companies that tackle very, very different fields, from education to coffee production to real estate to, well, actually construction, which he keeps on doing. Mr. Ñeco is an example of how can you diversify your systems, increase and develop new ways to monetize your company and be productive and successful. Please.
Thank you, Frank. Okay, for me, it's very important the quality. The quality is infinity.
You can do it in Spanish and I'll translate if you want.
Okay. La calidad para mí es algo infinito.
The quality for me is an infinite thing.
Es algo que no se puede nunca pensar que ya está todo hecho.
You can never think that a quality field is everything done. I mean, you can never believe that you already finished with the quality field.
Y el modelo más exitoso que para nuestra manera de ver las cosas
And the most successful way the most successful model of quality in our vision
es cuando logras impregnar todas tus políticas de calidad dentro del ADN de tus colaboradores.
is when you are able to implant the quality in the DNA of your entire company at a transversal level, in all the levels of the company.
Cuando los enamoras y los haces dueños de tus políticas de calidad, ese es el momento en el que puedes estar tranquilo.
When you make people of your company to love quality and be part of the quality politics, that's the moment in which you can rest assured
Y estar tranquilo de que desde adentro vas a expresar hacia los demás, tus clientes, tus proveedores, el verdadero sentido de la calidad.
that the quality that it's being built inside of your company will actually arrive in the hand of your customers and clients. And let me point out that it is, again, the human factor. It was the human factor, the success in stadium management case, because they got the vision. It is the human factor, the success story also in the case of Indian management, who has, well, India, we must bow to India. They have been able to realize this millennia ago. And it's also the human factor, the success in the case of Colombia.
Cuando nosotros logramos impregnar en el ADN de nuestros colaboradores nuestra visión, nuestras políticas de calidad, eso hizo que hoy seamos el grupo económico que somos en Colombia y pues ahora para el mundo.
When we were able to actually implant in the people the stakeholders of the company, the people that work with us, our vision of quality, we were sure that we will transform into the successful group that we are now, having 6 companies and in Santa Marta and the rest of Colombia.
Yes. Thank you very much, and I will wait you all in Colombia.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
You have to dance so the light doesn't blind you.
Thank you very much. Actually, in the laboratory, it is a forced change because we are forced to do what we're supposed to do to produce quality. Quality in the lab is about producing an accurate, reliable, and timely result that has less error so that we minimize the costs of putting out a result that is error prone, so that we are able to minimize the costs and due treatments to the patients. So we are forced to apply quality in the lab because of what the end result would be to the end patient. So the first quality that we do is via the total quality management, that we look at the different 12 essential areas that we must by all means apply: documentation, customer satisfaction, procurement, standard operating procedures, the whole process. All this must be put into place to be able to produce an error-free result that will finally affect the patient, to reduce costs and unnecessary treatments to the patient. So it's a first way of achieving quality. Thank you very much.
We have Angola as one of the technical units of the Angolan government that is doing a remarkable thing. As you well know, as you well aware, all of you, Angola had a rough time a few years ago. They have been steadily recuperating. They have 15 years of peace already. They have been steadily growing their economy and rebuilding an entire country. If that is not innovation, I don't know what it is. If you have to build a country and you are focusing yourself on people, which is what our friends from the India Management Institute were explaining, And if you're trying to create new solutions out of the blue, like the trees example that we will showing, then you are doing something really good. And I will leave you, without further ado, with our friends from UTIP Angola.
Thank you. Hi everyone. I don't know if I had the chance to introduce myself. My name is Helio Alves. I'm from Angola and I'm representing the technical unit for private investment of our country. Pretty much what the responsibility of UTIP is to prepare, promote, and prepare, process, review, and negotiate private investment projects worth over $10 million. And talking about solving, creating equality through problem solving is one of the issues we face every single day while analyzing every project they submit to us. As you know, every project has a process through, from the initiating phase, from the planning, from monitoring, until the closing phase. And UTIP tried to provide the right advice to our project owners on how to implement the projects. And very certainly many of the projects that are submitted to us have mostly, I won't say incomplete, but they need support on creating a better business plan, a better project plan. And that's when UTIP gets in with the legal departments as well as any other technical, any technical support in order to direct the project owners in the right way. So far UTIP has less than 2 years in the market, and so far we've been implemented 43 projects worth over $22 billion, which can represent the work that we are doing and we've been effectively implementing alongside our project promoters. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I've been speaking to Jose a couple of minutes ago, and one of the remarks he made is that we must get ourselves ready for the future. I'm a firm believer, and having read a book by Nicky Bush many years ago, about growing or teaching our children and making them ready for a world that doesn't exist. I cast my memory back to the early 2000s. We didn't know about cell phones or smartphones. I mean, we were walking around with Blackberries. Do you remember those days? Nokia 3310s. Nobody would have imagined that 10 years later, Apple would be an $800 million business. Nobody would have imagined that we can sit in a room and we can tweet and we can send emails and somebody can read those emails real time. I remember my first Blackberry. It was push notifications and it was out of this world to be able to send the email. How much has the world not changed? So I'm going to leave that thought with you for a while, because that defines my business and what we do. In 2006, South Africa won the World Cup bid to present the 2010 World Cup, Football World Cup in South Africa. Now, a couple of years before that, in the early 90s, our country was still defined as a country ruled under apartheid. The minority white people was in charge of the country, and there were pure segregation lines in our country. Black people were not allowed. Sure. Good. So black people were not allowed to go to a restaurant. Black people were not allowed to own land. They were not allowed to run a business. They were not allowed to own property outside the traditional black establishments. And we got involved in 2006 in football. Me, myself, as a white South African. Now, in the days of apartheid, we would have found that football was supported by black people. And rugby was the sport supported by white people. And there were clear lines of the commercialization of the two sports. Nobody spent money on rugby. Corporates tend to steer away from that. And we found a situation where the typical black football supporter in the black football clubs had to piggyback on white-owned stadiums to play at those stadiums. And they were often charged a lot of money. Now, I'm going to refer to our currency, the rand value. I'm going to refer to that. In your mind, just think about the rand value being, if you want to put it in euros, just divide it by 3. But you would have found that a top football club in South Africa paid the white establishment R1 million to make use of the stadium on the day. There were no commercialization opportunities for them. So they couldn't commercialize their sport to the full potential. Then a couple of years later, we found that apartheid was abolished. The country hosted the 1995 World Cup rugby tournament in South Africa, and white and black started working together. In 2008, I saw this opportunity in football. Now remember I said there was a world that didn't exist. In football, we didn't have stadiums. Because we didn't have stadiums, we couldn't commercialize the stadiums. Now what do I mean by commercialization? It's got to do with what commercial value do you see in the club, how many people do you run through the seats per annum, what advertising you put up in the stadium, what could be the naming rights of the stadium, Allianz, be it what it may be. But that's where the commercialization lies. And because black football didn't have those opportunities under the apartheid regime, there was a void in the market. And that specific part of the business did not exist. Hence my reference at the opening of my discussion with you, thinking about a world that doesn't exist. We are surely sitting in a situation today where in 10 years' time from today, we will be living in a different world. And we need to adapt ourselves and adjust ourselves to be in that position. So in South Africa, a lot has been made about these stadiums. We built 9 stadiums. We spent 50 billion rand on the World Cup. And a stadium, like one of the stadiums that I managed, the F&B Stadium or Soccer City Stadium, was a 3.8 billion rand asset. We're spending 4.5 million rand a month looking after the maintenance of the stadium. So what we do is we sign hosting agreements with the clubs. We bring the clubs into our stadium. Some of our biggest football clubs in South Africa is Kaizer Chiefs, Orlando Pirates, and they have got a lot of value to them. For the first time in the history of Kaizer Chiefs, in 2011 when they were 40 years old, or 41 years old, they had a stadium paying them a hosting fee, and we offered them 105 million rand. What did we do by that? We created a new industry, we created a new world that didn't exist for Kaizer Chiefs prior to us being able to put them up in a world-class stadium. We then created transactions with Orlando Pirates, which is today a 78-year-old club in South Africa. And between Kaizer Chiefs and Orlando Pirates, their followership is about 21 million people. They could start their own political party and they will probably win. But luckily they are not in the political environment. But we created that new environment for them. And South Africa, again, with a lot that has been changed, a lot of these new assets, basically a new environment, business environment that were created, we couldn't avoid the interest of the media. Because the media was waiting for these stadiums to fail. Now, as I stand here today in front of you, 9 stadiums being built for the 2010 World Cup, and we as Stadium Management South Africa manage 4 stadiums. Amongst them was the opening and the closing venue, Soccer City, where, as you alluded earlier on, Linda, that Spain won against the Netherlands. Iconic stadium, the only stadium in South Africa that's making money. All the other stadiums are funded by government. Think about the Cape Town Stadium, Greenpoint Stadium. Greenpoint Stadium is currently losing 110 million rand a year. The Moses Mabhida Stadium is losing 58 million rand a year. The Nelson Mandela Bay Stadium is losing 87 million rand a year. Now we organized our agreement with the City of Johannesburg, who's the owner of the facility, that we'll look after the facility, we'll do the upkeep of the facility, we'll do the facilities management. In other words, if a globe needs to be changed, we'll change the globe. Preventative maintenance in terms of the pumps, what needs to go with that. We manage the pitch. We present the pitch to the club. We manage the clubs playing at the stadium. We manage music events happening at the stadium. We're also promoters. And part of that is some of the people in this room have spoken about, I know that there's HVAC people here. We must manage that. It's a huge spend. We spend 30 million or 30,000, let me rather rephrase it, 300,000 a month just on your HVAC at the stadium. We would, there's event management people in the stadium. Event management has got to do with when you play that team and the commercial value about that team, selling suites, selling the advertising space inside the stadium, keeping the media's interest in what you're doing, and turning that into further potential. Based on that, it's sort of the old story, what comes first, the chicken or the egg? You know, you've got to have the team to commercialize a stadium. You've got to have a good stadium to have a good team. So we struck the balance back in 2009, a year before the World Cup. We signed these agreements with the clubs and we've put them in place. But in South Africa, is there any South Africans here? There was another South African speaker earlier this morning. There you are. In South Africa, with the political environment changing, the gentleman will know that we also had to deal with a lot of changing legislation. We've got to deal with black economic empowerment in South Africa to create that balance about the wrongdoings of the apartheid regime, to give that the opportunities to new people coming through today. We're also dealing with skills development legislation that allows us to put money into the training of staff. Now, before these World Cup stadiums was built, we had 5 or 6 proper white managed stadiums in the country. So it's a very, very small industry. And we had a huge opportunity to employ new people into our business and to teach them the commercialization of stadiums. Because as I've explained, it's not just the cutting of the grass and making sure the generators has got diesel in it. We are promoters, we manage the events, we promote the events, we advertise it, we deal with the media, we do social media, we put the bums on the seats, we sell beer, we've got our own liquor store on site, we sell corporate hospitality. So it's a microcosmos of a lot of different businesses inside our business. And at one stage I told my fellow shareholders that this is an ideal opportunity for ourselves to make our employees part of our shareholding in our business. Now, unlike the other stadiums in South Africa, we went to the city of Johannesburg and we told the city of Johannesburg that we can manage the facilities free of charge to them. So we will give them, for every 20 million rand profit that we make, we'll give them 22%. We then decided we're going to spend 10% on skills development. And we're going to take another 10% and we're going to put that into a previously disadvantaged individual. In other words, anybody else but a white man in South Africa is a previously disadvantaged individual. Am I right? So we gave our employees shareholding in our business. Linda, 5 minutes and then I'm finished. I'm not going to take much more time. So we embarked on a program of teaching our staff how to manage the business. And I remember in 2010, I employed a black lady who just finished university and she qualified as a lawyer. She couldn't find work. I employed her as my first at reception, then she became my personal assistant. And you're most welcome to go and have a look at my company's website, Stadium Management SA. It's as easy as that. Today, she's a director in my business. She's putting together events, Guy Chiefs versus Orlando Pirates, Carlin Black Label events. 18,000, 90,000 people we put into the stadium. And we arrange all of this that I've spoken about, all the logistical preparation for the event itself, the hospitality that goes with the event, the advertising, marketing, the social media that goes with that. And she can do that. She's 29 years old. She's putting 90,000 people into a stadium safely, and she let them leave the venue safely. Just yesterday, we all heard what happened with the Crown inquest into the Hillsborough tragedy, what was that, 29 years ago? So we also deal with specific legislation in South Africa. It's not just opening the doors and letting the people come in. Doing big events takes a lot of time, and it takes a lot of energy, and it takes a lot of focus, and you've got to deal with a whole lot of legislation. But I'm very proud about what we've achieved. We're talking about quality, we're talking about leadership. We're still the venue in the world that has sold the third most concert tickets in the international music industry. We've had the likes of Lady Gaga, U2, Bon Jovi, Rihanna, you name them. They've been at the stadium. We've hosted international rugby tests, 3 tests. We've hosted 50 to 55 international derbies. We've created and we've invented events like the Carling Black Label Cup, which out of 90,000 people entering the venue, 2 people will leave that day as a millionaire, albeit that in rand, but they will leave. They will get R1 million in cash. There's a lucky draw. We've got the ideas how to commercial certain events and to sweat the asset in terms of making more money. We've been extremely successful in terms of our business concept, extremely successful in terms of and towards our responsibilities to our stakeholder, the City of Johannesburg, our employees who are shareholders in our business, and then also the financial stability and longevity of the business. In so much so that we have now been appointed by the South African Rugby Union to assist them in presenting their World Cup bid on the 22nd of September in Dublin to do the World Cup in South Africa, making us part of their specific presentations to World Rugby in Dublin. I assure you, I can keep you busy for another hour. I don't think Linda is going to like that. So that is in short what our business is, where it's coming from. And again, we have created a business in a world today that did not exist 10 years ago. And a couple of months ago, I was at the Institute of Directors in London, and I'm going to leave you with this thought because I will never forget this. I received a Socrates Award at the Institute of Directors, and one of the facilitators said, Herman Shaw said in 1903 that the realistic man will adapt himself to the world, and the unrealistic man will persist in making the world adapt to him. And that has stuck with me. It has stuck with me through, what we have actually done. I didn't realize it, but looking back, the innovative ways that we've put the business together, that we've created an environment for black football in facilities that didn't exist, in business context that didn't exist, in PDI employees that now own a stake of the business they work for, the financial success that we've achieved out of this, and opportunity, as Jose said earlier on, and with what I opened as well, the opportunity for us to change the future. It is in our hands, and we only need to look back to see the huge capabilities of us sitting here. 30 years of BID, 179 countries represented with BID. We can make it. We can change it. I've done that, so can all of you do it. I'm humbled to be in the presence of great leaders and the business opportunities that you guys have spoke about this morning. Thank you so much, Jose. Thank you, Linda.
Thank you very much.
Go ahead. So thank you, Prieto, and thank you to you for calling me. Let me explain to you first that about our nation. India, all of you know, you've heard India is the 5th largest economy in the world, and it's going to be cross any other European economy, cross Britain, it will be the 2nd largest economy by 2022. That is the prediction. But that's the one side of India, because it has a big market. I'm not discussing that. But there is another side of India. I think how many of you know the world modern civilization is surviving on the contribution of India. The oldest civilization of India. This digits 1 to 0 is the invention of India. Arithmetics and algebra is invention of India. If you go to the Wikipedia, if you type a name, Rishi Panini, the Rishi Panini who born 325 years before Christ, which the theory has given, and this is the computer language is been formed, the binary method. The computer language is formed on that. You can go to the Wikipedia and see his contributions. So this India was had much contribution before Christ to this world, and the modern civilization is established in the world. Very long, very old, one of the oldest the civilization of the world. But the beauty of India, it has always focused on the human being. Rather, India's everything, India's entire, the gamut of development, intergamut of the governance, the leadership, everything centered on the human being. Because if you talk about the quality, behind each quality, there's one human being. The quality cannot come as an isolated feature. So the quality is one of the great, the component of any sorts of the development, be it human development, be it business development, corporate development, all materialistic development. But behind everything, there's a human being. So India has presented enormous scriptures. I think all of you heard it, not Veda. Vedas, our scriptures, is almost 9,000 years old from today. So those scriptures has a fantastic explanations and the fantastic exposition as given as how human being can be transformed. An ordinary human being can be transformed into an extraordinary human being, and then to develop an spectacular quality of the leadership in the human being. So, the institution, the organization where from I belong to is 1,400 years old. It is in 8th century, there was a man called Adi Shankar, born in India. He established the organization and to revive this India's the pristine glory. Because India was under the Buddhistic regime, and during the Buddhistic regime, India has lost its all that glory, and all the cultures and academic cultures has been lost. And after that, there is 1,000 years of invasion, the foreign rule, by the 200 years by the British rules and 800 years by other rule. 1,000 years India was under slavery. But see the strength of India. 1,000 years being under slavery, the potential is not been spoiled because it is surrounded with a human development. Now, being to say that now our organization and establish an institution which is equivalent to the status of the industry, in the status of university. So, how we have taken up the special job, special focus, how we can transform human being. We have produced more than 10,000 the students from that, and out of that, half of them are the entrepreneurs. Very interesting. They came from different mediocre background. They joined our institutions, and it's several case studies are there that came from very mediocre background. Even they had no aspiration in their life. They had never thought of being into even 5-star hotels. That kind of situation was now they are the class entrepreneurs in the country. And that's the model we have developed. That, human being is the embodiment of the consciousness being. Because we are conscious, there is a separation between the human being and the animal being. All the human being also born as an animal. But the difference between a human and other animal, because human has an extra faculty that's called emotional intelligence. You will not get this faculty with any other. You will not get this faculty with any other animals, but human has the emotional faculty. And the whole world's growth and development are the production of human emotions, human desires, human desires, all the industry, corporate, economy, government, everything is the production of the human emotions. The human emotional intelligence has a 4 components that we must to focus. One is self-awareness, second is self-management, third is empathy, and fourth is social skill. Self-awareness means who am I? What is my purpose of life? That's the first question you must ask. Who are you? Here so many people are sitting today after 100 years. None of us will be here in this world. Do we have come here only for the wealth or the financial enjoyments? Who am I? The questions has been given those scriptures. And that who am I to understand our potentials? Because if the God has brought everyone is equally potentials. Equally potentials. There's no genius. If Steve Jobs was genius, if Bill Gates is genius, then we are genius. Because they are not the product of any university. I'm telling you, the highest the dream of the world is always seen in the backbench of the class. If you see, history of the world is not the history of the academic toppers. That's very interesting part. Why it is happening? None. Bill is not. Harvard, he himself said to me, Harvard successful dropout. Steve, who had been my friend since 1977, when there's no Apple, I have seen his transformation and journey for have not to have. So that's a journey I have personally observed of Steve's. So how they brought it? It is only their inner potentials. And
Sir?
Yes,
I can see that this is going into great depth, and we'll just ask you to go
just
to the fourth point.
The 4th point I said,
Yes.
Self-awareness. We must understand who am I, that I can do it. Second thing is self-management. To deliver ourselves to the society, to any development, deliver ourselves into that direction. And empathy, having empathy to all humanity and the social skill, we must know how to survive in the society, having giving in a theory of accommodation, the non-violence what Mahatma Gandhi has taught. All of you have heard the name of Mahatma Gandhi. I belong to that nation. I belong to have that dress what Mahatma Gandhi used to have. This is my proud to belong to my nations. So this is the focus, as I said, every quality behind that, there's a human being. How to develop change. And change with the change is the art of life. And the change is the law of the life. And change with the change is the art of life. So thank you so much for giving me opportunity to speak on that.
Thank you very much.